right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the C60 Show, where we show you how to optimize your health with Carbon 60.
Hi, I'm Ken, a research scientist and founder of C60purplepower.com. And I'm here to explain the science of C60 and show you how it works at the cellular level to give you back control over your health.
And I'm Sierra. I'm a mom, and I've been on the health and wellness path for over 2 decades now. And today we're going to talk about how aging affects the brain. And we'll share some tips on how you can improve your mental clarity, stay sharp, and also protect those precious memories of yours.
Yes, we're live today and ready for your questions. So please put them in the comments and let's get started, shall we?
All right. But first, shoot. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure we've got this correct. Okay, good.
There we go. Okay, all opinions expressed in the show today are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek advice from your doctor or other qualified healthcare practitioner. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Individual results may vary.
All right, so first, we really want to talk about how aging actually affects the brain. I'm having some issues, though. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Can you go ahead and launch into that because I can't get to my next slide?
Yep. Well, that's technical difficulties. We have a new thing. Well, when you get it's basically brain health. When you get into your 60s, your brain actually begins to shrink, and with increase, you get loss of cells as you get older, and a lot of critical parts of the brain, especially the parts that have to do with learning and memory. So, and also, of course, you have increasing risk of Alzheimer's and other things, which are caused by a lot of toxins. That's so like Alzheimer's disease, that's when you get amyloid plaques in your brain, and it basically kills the nerve cells, and then your brain isn't working as good. Of course, part of that is your brain when you sleep. You should be, your brain's what, 4 or 5 pounds in your body. But it uses 20% of the energy, so it makes a lot of waste. And so when you sleep, that's kind of a lot when it dumps a lot of the proteins and other things that's used up that day. And so part of the thing they think with Alzheimer's is the failure to flush out a lot of those toxins that build up over time, and also synaptic connections decline as we get older.
There we go.
Aha, yes, and so we don't so the communication between things.
So yeah, mainly in your 60s, the brain actually begins to shrink, and especially those areas that the areas of the brain used to hold on to memories and to learn new things. So it's important to use your brain. We're going to get into how you can improve that, but some factors that accelerate aging and cognitive decline. There's a few, and we'll get into that, but all the different factors have one thing in common. So, for instance, high levels of toxicity can affect the brain and cause damage and can cause cognitive decline. Well, why is that? Because of oxidative stress. So, and then the other thing is the decline in production of stem cells, the decline in production of neurotransmitters. How about we get into a little bit this?
Okay, yes.
This right now. Yeah.
So, well, one of the obviously oxidative stress, that's and a lot of this is age, because as your cells age, they don't produce as many antioxidants. So your mitochondria, so oxidative, the regular things that you did earlier, because you don't have those antioxidants, now you're getting more damage that's going on in there. And it's just harder for the brain to function on that case. And then, of course, stem cells, that's, we actually do regrow our brains in a sense. As some neurons die, they're replaced by stem cells. Well, when the stem cell level goes down in the brain, you start losing, numbers of nerve cells, especially in key things like pineal or pituitary glands. Then you just don't have enough cells to get the job done anymore because, they're not being replaced, and that's kind of bad. And then also is the decline in neurotransmitters, because that's part of the whole thing. As your antioxidants go down, that you're like, especially SOD and catalase, your mitochondria can't function as well. And so if they don't have ATP, then you can't, you need ATP is needed. It's the energy molecule cells to help make the neurotransmitters, to transport them, to reuptake them, all those things. and you just get, you're without the neurotransmitters, your brain cells can't communicate with each other as good as they used to.
So the good news is we can actually address all of these factors, and it's going to be a combination of lifestyle and how you eat and all of those things. So we're going to go over a few ways you can help maintain your brain as you age. Number one is exercise. They show that just 30 minutes a day can really improve the protection of the brain cells.
Yeah, you need to, it keeps your vascular system healthy. It's got to, it's got to be used. The capillaries and veins and stuff can, kind of stay flexible, because it's just, and there's so many other benefits of exercise.
Absolutely. We mention it all the time, again and again. So if you're not exercising, if you're sitting in front of your desk all day, just carve out 30 minutes of your day doing anything, walking. They show that dancing can especially be helpful, even more so than just regular exercise. I guess it uses different parts of your brain. So go put on some music and dance.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because think of all the things you're dancing. And if you've gone dancing, it's at the end of the day, you're pretty tired too. That's a really good workout. It's a major workout.
And it's fun. There's an element of fun to dancing, unlike being on a treadmill. So do something that you're going to actually enjoy, that you look forward to doing, right? Don't overdo it or try to commit to something that you're just going to hit a wall and you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, research at the University of Miami in Florida found that individuals over the age of 50 who engage in little or no exercise experience a decline in memory and thinking skills comparable to 10 years of aging in 10 years of aging in 5 years. So they age twice as fast.
Wow.
But those who took part in moderate to high intense exercise essentially slowed brain aging by 10 years. So
wow.
So it accelerates, so if you can keep
10 years.
10 years. So exercise.
Okay,
Exercise.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Here's another one. Use all your senses. Obviously, our senses, our vision, our hearing is so important to our perception.
Yes, and so if you can't see, you probably need to get your vision checked. And it's also, there's things like glaucoma that can sneak up on you and damage your vision. So you need to go to the eye doctor. They need to do all that tests and adjust your lenses accordingly. And also hearing tests. A lot of older people, the hearing starts going, and if you can't hear, then that it kind of destroys your social situation. Because if you can't hear people talk, then you don't communicate back, and it kind of causes social isolation, which is another problem that we could talk on the next part, which is
maintain your social life.
Yes.
This is really important because, when you maintain connections with people, studies have shown people that have good social ties actually live longer.
Yes. And especially the last year, what we all went through, or a year and a half, whatever it is, it's good to remake those ties. Just sitting around on your couch watching television and being isolated it's just bad for you in so many ways.
Yeah. And, people, if you're surrounding yourself with friends and family, they'll remind you about things that you might have forgotten. They're going to stimulate parts of your brain. They're going to help you think about things that maybe you're not thinking about on your own. So it's always a good way to expand your horizons mentally, right? Which comes to our next point, which is to keep learning. You don't want to stop using it because you'll lose it. So that part of your brain that can shrink, right, is that part of your brain that helps you to learn. So if you keep learning and you do things like puzzles and play chess and things where you're actively using your brain every day, that's really going to help prevent some of that cognitive decline. And let's just give you an extreme example of this with the shrinking and the atrophying of the brain. An extreme example would be Alzheimer's.
Yeah. And so we got those things. And especially if you're retired, you're older, you're retired, you just, there's community colleges have all kinds of classes. You can take up a hobby, just do something to keep you occupied, keep kind of looking forward to the day and things, something that's, crossword puzzles too. So those are all pretty good things to do.
Sure. And then this one is obvious, but not so obvious.
Yes, well, obviously.
Healthy lifestyle choices. Well, that's very generic. But,
yes, it is. Well,
specifically, you want to avoid things that cause oxidative stress, right? So toxins, alcohol, cigarettes. Specifically, alcohol can actually stop the glucose from even being able to get to your brain. So that's what happens as you get drunker. Basically, your body goes into flight or fight mode as it's trying to help you survive. It pumps all this adrenaline, and that's why people get super happy or they get super angry or they're just overreactive.
Yeah, and cigarettes are also about the worst thing you can do for your health. It's just there's so many ways, obviously the carbon monoxide, you got the tars, you got there's just so many toxins.
It slows the oxygen to your brain.
Oh yeah, and yeah, it's just yeah, cigarettes are, and like if you do a surgery, they make you sign a thing that that you were not responsible for your recovery if you smoke. So that's, even things like that. So because it just prevents any sort of healing from happening because it's so damaging. So yeah, you got to, if you want to be healthy and live a long time, cigarettes are not part of that.
Go out and get some fresh air. Do some deep breathing. If you're feeling brain fog, get some breath in there. Get some oxygen in your brain.
Yeah, and the other is just avoiding toxins. Like there's a lot of these pesticides and herbicides that people use in their houses. Those things are really, really bad. If they kill insects, they kill anything. And you may not, you can get exposed to those, and they cause, especially some of the
mercury.
The mercury, the other things. Yeah, some of those things like pesticides will actually cause Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease because they kill neurons in the brain. So yeah, you don't really want to have those pesticides and other nasties, and just kind of avoid. If you're just stay out of places where there's going to be nasty toxins, and of course water is an important one too. Make sure you get filtered water. A lot of water in cities, especially if they pull them out of a river. They've dumped stuff upstream, and a lot of the cleaning system doesn't take it out. So,
well, we could do a whole show about that, but we did actually. So check out our show on how to detox.
Yeah. So that's, those are just those things. And of course, exercise, which is all we've already talked about. So.
All right, check your levels. This is really important because there are risk factors associated with accelerated cognitive decline, including high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, and also, what else am I missing?
Blood sugars.
Blood sugar. Yeah. If you have diabetes, that's going to increase your risk factor for accelerating.
Yeah, you just need to go in and get the blood test every now and then because, and it's like, for your vision, glaucoma can sneak up on you. It doesn't have any symptoms, and then bam, you got damage. So getting it before it becomes a problem, that's really important. And the same with high blood pressure. You don't know that you have high blood pressure, but unless you get tested. And the same with diabetes, they have those little blood tests you could take, and they'll go, dozens of factors they'll check, and then you can just know. It's like getting a checkup for your car, like every year. Get a checkup, find about problem before it becomes a problem, and that's really one of the important things.
And if you're doing all these healthy lifestyle choices that we're going to share with you today, honestly, that's going to help all of those levels. So that's really what it's about. It's not about taking a medication. I know if you're being prescribed something, definitely listen to your doctor, take your medication, but there's other ways that we can address what's causing the problem instead of just the symptoms, right? So think about how you can lower your blood sugar naturally by not eating sugar, or how to lower your cholesterol naturally by introducing more healthy oils and fats to your diet. But anyway, let's carry on. We could get lost here.
Yes, we've done the nutrition thing more than a few times.
All right. Number 7 is manage your stress. And there's nothing that stops your brain from functioning like stress or panic, right?
Oh yeah, when you're in a fight or flight mode, your frontal lobe shut down. Everything goes to the muscle centers and all those for quick reaction. So when you're afraid or angry, your brain's really not working. So and if you're constantly like that, well, then your brain will just kind of atrophy.
Yeah. And your brain on stress, what happens is that'll kill brain cells actually. So, and especially in the frontal part of the lobe where all your memory and your learning happens, right?
Oh, yes, it will. So yeah. And especially this whole last year. And, actually the best number one thing you do for lowering your stress levels for a lot of people, stop watching TV, stop watching the fear porn on the evening news. It's just, you don't need that in your life.
Also take deep breaths, take walks, out in nature. And if you can do a yoga practice, you can start at the beginner level, which is very, simple to do, like 15 minutes a day of stretching. That can really be helpful as well. All right, let's talk about sleep. Because we know we do not function well with sleep, especially the brain does not function well with sleep.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier. That's sleep is when your brain dumps out all the toxins and proteins and stuff. It just doesn't have the ability to repair stuff like some other cells do. It just uses it up, and it doesn't have that, so it just gets rid of it. And that does that during the sleep time. There's actually a whole thing that goes on in the veins and arteries in your brain as it dumps out stuff. And so, and you need that deep sleep. That's when, you
Mm.
know, you get maximum out. So that's getting sleep is very, very important.
We haven't talked much about the mood connection too, but you know, the brain does determine your mood. And so if your brain isn't functioning well, you're going to be a little cranky. And I know I am a little cranky when I have a lack of sleep or dehydration or
Yep.
a lack of food, all things that affect the brain. So if you're feeling like that, maybe you need to address some of these things. Number 9 is focus on gut health. And we did a whole show on gut health. You can check it out.
Yes.
But the gut health is so important because actually it's really, really, there's a gut health, there's a gut brain connection that actually exists. There's neurotransmitters that are synthesized in the gut that your brain needs to function. So if you don't have the good bacteria to help synthesize those neurotransmitters, you're going to have a decline in neurotransmitters, which means your brain isn't going to communicate very well.
Yeah. So like us old vets say, you know, what are the 3 things for animal health, which is stuff is diet, diet, diet. And it's the same with us. You got to put good food in to get good results. And so, and part of that is taking care of your little friendly microbes in there. So you got the probiotics, you got the prebiotics, which are basically feeding the good microbes. And that's important, like, especially if you've had like antibiotic treatments, which people get, that just wipes out your gut biome. So you need to get like probiotics and rebuild it. And it takes a while too. So constant, and also one of the other things they found for really good health, I think from our last show, is people that eat like live foods, like fermented foods. So like pickles or sauerkraut, not necessarily wine,
They
but
live longer,
yes,
right?
they do. And it's just because those good bacteria, they help us things. So that's
They're
one of the things
part
they
of our
find.
defense, our immunity defense system.
Yep,
They're
yogurt.
so important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all of those live things. So the good things that you do. Well, we've already talked about this so much that
We have. Another thing, though, I want to mention about the gut health is that it really is key to how you're absorbing your nutrients as well. And nutrients are, if you have any kind of deficiency whatsoever, it's going to affect your brain so quickly, more than anything. So you want to address any digestive issues, because if you have digestive issues, a lot of times that can mean that you're really not absorbing the nutrients, even if you're eating the best diet. So make sure you're getting plenty of fiber. We'll go into that actually right now.
Yes.
Which is number 10, which is eat right.
Yeah, and things like you want to eat more as you get older, you want to eat more protein. You want to make sure you get your magnesium and calcium uptakes, and your fiber. Fiber is super important because it nurtures healthy bacteria, and those bacteria release things that help you. So it's just really good. And also things we talked about before, avoiding sugar. That's especially they found studies like if you drink a can of Coke or Diet Coke especially, that's and the artificial sweeteners are not good for you. They actually cause more damage than just the sugar, taking the sugar itself. But just find other ways. There's ways of doing that. And of course, there's another thing, as we talked about before, which is avoiding seed oils. Like, check your salad dressing, cottonseed oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, all these other things, peanut oil. Any of those oils, they're just so heavy in omega-6s over omega-3s that they cause inflammation, and your gut gets inflamed. You got inflammation in your brain. It's just really bad for you. And then, of course, I've talked about before is intermittent fasting. That's a really great thing, especially for older people, and because it gives your gut a chance to rest. I'm on like the 4 to 6 hour plan for intermittent fasting, and then the rest of the day I just have water, basically. And so that you'll lose weight and your gut will work way, way better. Because once I did intermittent fasting, all my digestion improved dramatically.
Yeah, and another thing is I want to mention the Mediterranean diet. It's basically an anti-inflammatory diet, and they show people that are on that do, people from the Mediterranean live longer. Well, also from countries like Japan, they also live longer. They have a lot of fermented foods, but also key is the healthy fats. So in the Mediterranean diet, they have a lot of omega-3 rich oils, and then also polyunsaturated oils and things like that, like olive oil. But the important thing to note here is that the brain is actually 60% fat. It's the fattiest part of your body, so it needs fat to function. So make sure you're getting good.
Yep, it's hard to believe the brain's the fattiest part of the body, but that's the truth of it.
Yeah, actually.
And so, and that's okay. We talked about high fiber, fresh herbs, and eating organic and eating fresh. I mean, that's kind of the way of avoiding toxins, because those actually, when you eat that corn, the non-organic corn, it's full of the glyphosate, and the glyphosate just kills the good bacteria in your gut. And so it's just, yeah, that's why probiotics are such an important thing, because you got to there's just things that happen all the time for us, and you just need to help those little guys out.
And also key nutrients for brain function are zinc, magnesium, iron, copper, lutein, which can be found in avocados and eggs. So you want to make sure you're getting plenty of those. But let's go to number 11. This is a really important one, and that is to hydrate yourself. Like I said earlier, if you are dehydrated, you're going to notice you're probably going to have some mood issues come up. Basically, staying properly hydrated enables the brain to stay alert, so we can keep our attention and focus.
Yeah, and especially for older people, they just forget to drink or just doing stuff. So you need to make sure that you get, like a glass of water in the morning, maybe one before you go to bed, and just say, just make sure that you drink a lot of water and stay hydrated, because it's so important. Without water, your brain can't function correctly, your blood gets too thick. It's a major problem for a lot of people, especially in our society. And a lot of people don't like the taste of water or don't really want to do water. So there's things you can do to, like, you can buy those little slightly fruity waters.
Well, you can also put lemon if you're drinking a lot of soda because you love the taste of soda. One thing you can do is put lemon in your water or lime, but not everyone can have the citrus. So you can actually infuse your own water with fruit. And check out our Instagram feed, because I just put a recipe up for this. I love watermelon mint water with a little bit of lime, if you can tolerate the lime, and add our organic peppermint C60 in there. It's delicious. And if you have a recipe idea, you can share that. Tag us on Instagram. We'd love to see it.
Of course, pretty obvious. Protect your head from injury. That's kind of obvious. Yeah. So if you're, especially, so wear a helmet if you're riding a bicycle, or especially a motorcycle. That's always, if you're riding a motorcycle, you have to wear a helmet. Don't.
Yeah.
And also the other things, just kind of avoid getting your noggin hit. So it's just kind of avoid things that would do that.
All right, we'll talk about C60 for a minute. But first, I want to make sure for our new viewers today or listeners, that we explain what is C60.
Well, C60 is a molecule of 60 carbon atoms, and it's shaped like a little soccer ball. And it's a super antioxidant. It's several hundred times more powerful than like conventional antioxidants like vitamin D or vitamin E, and those ones. And kind of one of the reasons it is because it can reset itself. It kind of pulls hydrogen ions from the environment, stores it on the inside of its cage-like structure, and then when an oxidative radical, which usually has an extra electron, is attracted to the slightly positive molecule, it can neutralize the oxidative radical to water, or oxygen, or whatever it is, and then C60 just resets itself again and again and again and again and again, and that's really one of its secrets on why it's so powerful.
So basically, translation, what he said there is C60 is a very, very effective antioxidant. It's a free radical sponge, and it's actually the most powerful antioxidant that's ever been discovered. It's got that unique cage-like structure, which allows it to reset itself and just neutralize free radicals to water. It's pretty amazing. So what else can we tell you about C60? Well, when it comes to brain function, in scientific studies, C60 showed strong neuroprotective properties and prevented cognitive decline in test animals.
Yes, and it also and in another study, it almost doubled their lifespan. So yeah, it's and that's because of its amazing antioxidant properties.
All right, and let's get into how C60 supports brain function. C60 supports mitochondrial efficiency, or cellular metabolism.
Yes, and that's one of its great things. C60 is an SOD mimic, that's superoxide dismutase, and that's used in your mitochondria to neutralize superoxygen, which is an oxygen with an extra electron. Because the mitochondria, they're little organelles in your cells. They make the ATP that powers everything, all the energy molecule cells, and like a little furnace, it puts off oxidative radicals. And your body normally supplies SOD and catalase and glutathione and CoQ10.
All antioxidants.
Yeah, all the antioxidants to neutralize those things. But as we age, a lot of the antioxidants like SOD and catalase and glutathione go down because our body can't synthesize it and as much. And so when your cells don't have much antioxidants, the mitochondria have to kind of tune themselves down. So now they're making less ATP. And of course, goes to the next one, supporting energy and motivation. Is the ATP is the energy for your cells.
Yeah.
So when you take C60, C60 replaces the missing SOD and the missing catalase and glutathione, and so now your mitochondria can fully function. They make ATP, and then when you have ATP plentiful, then all the cellular functions can be done. And we'll talk a lot more of that. But and then another one is the production of hormones and neurotransmitters. We're going to talk a little bit more about the neurotransmitter part, but the hormones too is C60 is one of the things when C60 gets your mitochondria take LDL cholesterol, remember that bad cholesterol, and they turn it into pregnenolone, which is the precursor molecule for all the hormones. And so then once your hormone levels come back up, of course, that's a really effective thing because it's all the hormones. It's not just like hormone replacement therapy. So once your cells the ATP is running, you got the pregnenolones coming out, and depending on what cell, at the pineal gland, you'll make more melatonin. The pituitary gland, hypothalamus complex, you'll get more human growth hormone, and a whole bunch of other master hormones that kind of regulate things. The same with the thyroid, you get more T3 and T4. You get in your adrenal glands, you're going to get your mineralocorticoids, your glucocorticoids, your androgens, which get turned into estrogen, testosterone, depending on who you are. Those go up. And so it's all a great thing.
All right. And then another thing is it can help protect brain cells from free radical damage.
Oh, yeah. And that's, exactly. Because especially because your brain is like, it's amazing. It's, what was it, 3 pounds or something? And it uses 20% of the energy of the body. That's a lot of energy being used. And so that also makes a lot of oxidative radicals. So when you protect, that's a good way to protect it, because you get older and those antioxidants go down, then you start getting damaged. Proteins get cross-linked, membranes get punched. You can get damage of the DNA, and that can lead to the big C. So yeah, I mean, it's just protecting yourself from that is really important. But
one thing we don't have on here is the production of stem cells. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yes. That's one of the things we found. C60, when you take C60, there's a lot of things, senescent cells in your body. They're basically the telomeres, which are kind of wrap around the end of the DNA. They get down every time the cell divides until finally there's not enough. And the cell doesn't want to die, but it can't reproduce. So what it does, it kind of goes into a fermentation process and shuts down the mitochondria. Well, when you take C60, the mitochondria turn back up. They'll send messages to the nuclear DNA saying, hey, it's time to divide. It's time to do this. And if they don't get the right messages back, the mitochondria will initiate apoptosis, which is programmed cell death, and the cell will break down little apoptotic bodies, which is non-inflammatory, and the phagocytes come and clean it up. Well, once you've had all these senescent cells get wiped out, first they're not draining energy, but then the tissue sends out a message, hey, we need more cells to replace the missing ones. And so people that take C60 have like a huge increase in stem cells. We found that ubiquitous. And then those stem cells can be converted to whatever tissue types. Your brains, they can be turned to brain cells, immune cells, whatever. But C60 greatly increases stem cell production.
I want to talk to you real quick about the declining stem cell production as it relates to cognitive decline. This is a quote from a research study. Actually, in 2017, a research study revealed that stem cells in the brain's hypothalamus likely control how fast aging occurs in the entire body. The research showed that the number of neural stem cells naturally declines with age, and this decline accelerates aging. But this study also found that the effects of this loss are not irreversible. So by replenishing these stem cells or the molecules they produce, it's possible to slow and even reverse various aspects of aging throughout the body. And I think we've heard stories from people that have had early signs of dementia that have taken C60 with really great results.
Oh, yes. They say, and there's so many people that that send us testimonials, how their brain fog went away, their energy went up, and all those other things. So, and let's talk about some of the neuron communications here. And so this is a little neuron, and if you're looking at, for those, some people will be listening, so not watching, but the neurons have synapses, and synapses will reach out and go right next to another nerve cell. And then at the synapse junction, the synapse will release neurotransmitters, which then go to the other nerve, and that neurotransmitter stimulates that nerve to discharge, and it releases other neurotransmitters. And so the message moves along. And this happens very, very rapidly. And one of the things we can also see is
But if it's not functioning very
yeah,
well,
it's not going to happen. And let's go to the next slide here,
Okay.
which we have. And this is, and if you look at the little synapse there on the thing, for those who can't see it, well, the synapse is full of mitochondria. Because what happens is you got to transport, you need a lot of ATP to do your neurotransmitters. Because first off, the neurotransmitters have to be made, then they have to be transported. It takes ATP to transport a lot of it. And then they are in little vesicles inside the synapse, and then they're released when the cell releases them, and then the cell has to uptake them again, take them back into the synapse, because they reuse those neurotransmitters again and again and again. And so it takes a lot of energy to release them, and it takes a lot of energy to pull them in, put them into little vesicles, and get them ready for the next discharge. And that's why there's so many mitochondria down there in the synapses to keep that process going. So when your C60 gets in there, makes those mitochondria function as best they can, replacing any missing SOD or catalase. And now your synapses can function at maximum efficiency because you've got your ATP. It's just so important.
And that's why people report feeling so sharp after taking C60, right? I mean, it makes sense. This transportation process, this whole thing just slows down if you have tons of oxidative stress.
Yes, because you can't sometimes, and even making the neurotransmitters.
Sure.
That's because they can get damaged. If you have oxidative stress in the body, they can get damaged and then they won't work at all.
And let's talk about mood too, because it's not just about, can your mind do cartwheels? Can you do puzzles? It's about how do you feel? Are you happy? Well, dopamine, and serotonin, those are the happy hormones. Obviously, if you don't have the production and you've got low efficiency and you've got low dopamine levels and low serotonin levels, you're just not going to feel very happy or motivated about life, and you're probably going to feel depressed.
Yeah, and one of the things, we talked about this before in other shows, but dopamine production, the body has a natural, if you get injured, so you have acute inflammation, which is what happens. Let's say you twist your ankle. That's important. It swells up. It's
it's healthy inflammation, right?
But one other thing that you don't really realize is when you have that inflammation, it also kind of sends a whole cascade of other messages, and it actually shuts down dopamine production in your body, because dopamine is kind of like the motivation molecule, because the body doesn't want you to get up and walk on that hurt ankle. So your motivation, so the dopamine production goes way down. So you're motivated not to do anything. You just want to sit there, lie there, and get better.
You're not motivated.
Yeah, not motivated. But that's good. That's a good thing. But what happens if you have chronic inflammation, like arthritis and some of those other things, which is caused by oxidative radicals? Well, then you get that same dopamine suppression. So when you take C60 gets rid of the oxidative radicals. You don't have that chronic inflammation anymore. And then your body just you don't have that feedback loop. So now that your body makes the dopamine that you need. And a lot of people have commented that, like I just started feeling better, and I got up off the couch and I started, doing exercising that I used to do, or the hobbies they used to do, or go cleaning the house. That's another one we hear. Oh, I just got up and just cleaned the whole house. So, and that's part of that return of the dopamine production. So, which is by getting rid of that inflammation. And you may not even know you have chronic inflammation.
And what causes inflammation? Oxidative stress.
Yep. And so
again, if you're eating something you're sensitive to, if you're exposed to toxins, if you're exposed to radiation, all these different things, they all cause oxidative stress, which causes inflammation. So it all really comes down to one small thing, oxidative stress. So that's the main way C60 helps us, and why we get all these amazing health benefits. It's just that one simple thing.
Yeah, because C60 doesn't heal anything. What C60 does, it lifts the oxidative burden that your cells are under, and then that allows your cells to heal themselves. And that's how the body heals.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, this, and also good healthy habits and all of that.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't
replace. We say the same thing over and over again, guys. Have you noticed the trend?
Yes.
Eat well, exercise, get fresh air, stop stressing out, sleep. It's just over and over again. It's so funny, but it's true. And we do the research. We actually research the stuff before the show. It's not like we put the same list together.
So
real stuff.
Yeah, it comes down to the same things. We don't get to.
Maybe we should just copy paste next time.
Yeah.
Huh? I don't know. All right. Let's share a testimonial, my favorite part of the show. David says, I've been taking C60 for about 3 weeks, and I'm amazed. I honestly didn't expect much of an effect, if any. The change in my brain, though, is amazing. Brain fog is lifted, depression is gone. It's like my brain has been power washed.
Well, thank you,
How
David L.,
shiny.
for that great testimonial. Yeah, once that
Yeah.
ATP production goes back up in those neurons, it's just everything just gets so much better.
You turn into one of those shiny, happy people.
Yes.
Like REM says. All right. If you would like to share a story, we'd love to hear it. Let us know in the comments if you have also experienced this amazing effect of C60. And also, you can submit your testimonial online at our website at c60purplepower.com/testimonial. Or better yet, call and leave a voicemail on our testimonial hotline, and we might just play it on the next show. And if you'd like to try C60 for yourself, check out c60purplepower.com. and use the code the C60 Show for 15% off your entire order.
Well, I think it's about time for some questions from our audience. So if you got any questions, or put them in the comments right now. So we'll start pulling them up.
All right, we've got one from YouTube. Oh, Sky River Walker. I recognize this name. I take care of my aunt and uncle, ages 94 and 93. They have normal aging brain health for their ages. Any chance C60 can improve their brain health? Do you recommend using a particular oil for them?
It debates on which you want to use. I mean, the oils that we have are pretty healthy, avocado and olive oil.
They're the healthiest oils, really, that you can
Yep.
that you can get.
Little springs
They're
here.
very healthy.
Yes. And then also coconut oil is really good. The MCT coconut oil, because what that does is the MCT, MCT stands for medium chain triglycerides, and the liver can turn those into ketones, which then the cells can use as a flex energy source. So if you've got glucose processing issues, the MCT coconut oil is really good for you on that. So
and then avocado oil is good for people that have digestion problems because it's really easy to digest.
Yes, and so it's depending on the person, but if you definitely MCT for like if you've got like glucose processing issues, and if you have digestive issues, the avocado.
And then the olive oil is really heart healthy, so if you have cholesterol issues, that can be helpful in itself. And all of these oils have their own health benefits, which is great. Let's see. Walter from YouTube says, perhaps you guys should do an eye drop product for the eyes, especially now I have itchy eyes from the allergy season. It would feel great to have a C60 dropper I could use to regenerate those tired eyes. Well,
actually, people use the coconut oil. Really works well with the eyes because it's an extract, so it's very pure. And it won't cause any inflammation. If you put olive oil in your eyes, it might hurt a little bit. But the MCT coconut oil, it's people I've actually used MCT coconut oil in my eyes and it does amazing things.
Walter, did you see our last show on eye health? You should check it out. All right, Ken from YouTube says, this question is for Ken from Carol. There's a lot of talk about radiation, such as 5G radiation, and radiation that is emitted from electronics. Will C60 help repair any damage from radiation?
Well, that's one of the things that I started the whole thing because I was out where I was working on the Moxie fusion reactor project, and most of the people that scientists had worked on that, they were like the late doctor this and the late doctor that. They died before their time. So I went looking for, we're going to have radiation protection, obviously, in the thing, but there could be something mysterious going on and we don't really know because that's what research science is. So I went out and I discovered C60, and they had a test of rats, and what they did is they gave, one set of rats got C60, the other set of rats didn't, and then they hit them with a fatal dose of radiation, and virtually all the C60 rats, all the control rats that didn't get C60, they immediately died, but all the C60 rats survived. So I said, when I heard about that, I said, well, that's the stuff for me. So when we were doing the project, I made sure that all the people working with me and myself were taking it. And yeah, it's incredibly radiation protective. Now, when you're dealing with like the 5G stuff and those other, they say, oh, it doesn't cause damage. It's non-thermal. It's just, it's just heating you. It's not heating enough. Well, what they found out now is, especially microwaves, they'll actually jam open the ion calcium pores, channels in your cell, and that'll cause like calcium to go into your cell, and that causes like a huge amount of oxidative damage. One thing, if you have healthy mitochondria, which C60 supports mitochondria health, it will actually buffers the calcium in the cell, so that'll give you an edge. And of course, it'll take care of the oxidative radicals that get generated, but it can also help balance, the ion thing there. Of course, the best thing, of course, is to avoid it if possible. So, a lot of times, like in your house, those routers could put out huge amounts of radiation. So, like, for instance, I just have an Ethernet cable. I just plug it into my computer so I don't have to get cooked by some of that 5G router stuff.
Yeah, just get all of your devices out of your room at night. I have like a little charging station, but it's not in my room. It's outside of my room because I don't want to sleep next to all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the other thing we forgot is the blue light.
Yes.
The blue light. Yeah, because blue light, actually, they found people are getting macular degeneration. Yeah, in their 30s and 40s, right? Macular degeneration in the old days was like for old people, right? 60s and 70s, you start getting that. But now they're getting it early, and they've traced it back to all that blue light, because you're getting the blue light from the computer, which you're probably watching, or from your phone, or from your television. So we have, I don't have the glasses here, but we have like little blue blocker glasses we wear. And so that's a good thing. If you're going to be in the computer a lot, just buy one of those things. They're pretty inexpensive. And
you can set the filter on your phone too to make it warmer, so it's like more yellow and not as blue.
Yeah, but that's another reason for sleep. If you want to get good sleep, stop watching the blue light, because
dim the lights at night.
There's like 7% of the neurons in the cell are there just checking, is it day or night?
Right.
They're not doing direct vision, and so when they see the blue light, they send messages to the pineal gland saying, don't make any melatonin because it's still daylight, right? It's the day. So so you want to get rid of that blue light if you want to go to sleep.
Jill says, can C60 detox glyphosates? We actually talked about glyphosates a lot on our gut health shows, so definitely check that out. But Ken, what do you think about that?
Most of these toxins, first off, most of these toxins, when they break down, they cause basically oxidative species. Various sorts of oxidative species are created in the breakdown of toxins, and it's the oxidative species that cause the damage. So C60 can block those oxidative species from doing the damage. Then you don't get as much damage.
It can help you cleanse it out of your body.
Well, your body is going to do the job of cleansing that. See, but the thing is, if all your cells are working properly, then your body will do, the job it needs to get done. But
and if your liver's functioning properly, which we just had a show
about really the liver, important.
C60 can really help support the liver and other organs that are necessary for cleansing that stuff out of your body.
Yeah, but the thing is, on a lot of these things, I know you go out to eat, you'll get stuff that you're not intended. I mean, C60 kind of covers those sins, but it doesn't. It will never replace like good nutrition, healthy lifestyle choices, proper supplementation. I mean, those things you still have to do.
Ooh, another YouTube comment says, I've been taking C60 for 1 month and I have a noticeable size reduction in my eye floaters.
Oh, that's good to hear.
That's great. Preppers from Mars says, has anyone used C60 for scarring? Actually, yes, I did. I broke my arm a few years ago and I had this really big red scar. It was super red and like kind of thick and just like not flush to the skin. But I started putting C60 on it every day. It faded to completely, you can't even see it anymore, and it's completely flat. So that works really well. Also, I've been doing a little test. You probably can't see here, but I have age spots on my hands. And my left hand, I basically, when I take C60, there'll be a little dribble sometimes on the side. And I always take that extra oil and I put it on my right hand, but not my left hand. So what's happened is the age spots on my left hand are still pretty big. The ones on my right hand have actually shrunk. Can you see that? See how the ones right here
I can see it.
Giant, and then these ones are tiny little freckles?
Mm-hmm.
That's the ones on this side look like that before.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to see on the camera, I think.
I need to get a photo
close up.
That.
Yeah, close up. Then you can actually see it. Yeah.
All right. I think that's.
Yeah, it's really C60 just does wonders for topical use, especially like if you've got like fungus problems or something, or you just rub it on there, because especially the MCT coconut oil, because MCT is like antifungal, antibacterial as well, and so you can knock that down. And also for like bug bites, like mosquito bites, you take some C60 and rub it on the mosquito bite. In about 20 minutes, it'll stop itching, and which and the inflammation will go, the redness will go down too.
All right.
So I always take my C60 camping, so because the bugs will get me.
We have some questions that were sent via email. which you can always email us at questions@c60purplepower.com as well. Angie says, "Hi, you lovely people. I have noticed since taking C60 avocado, my memory has improved. I had many strokes in 2016 at 48 years old. I have been taking C60 for about 3 years. I have become aware if I don't take it for a couple of days, as in delay for delivery coming from the USA to Australia, my memory acts up. In what way does C60 connect to the neural pathways to the brain, and how can I maintain the connectivity to be permanent? My autoimmune disease has disappeared, and I have been cancer free for the last 5 years." Can I stick a disclaimer in there?
Yeah.
Sorry, but we can't say that.
Okay.
Actually, C60 is not meant to prevent, treat, or cure any disease. So please consult a medical professional. And also, individual results may vary. Let's see. And she says, I also took Nexium for my stomach for over 10 years. I don't take any medication anymore, just C60 Purple Power, magnesium powder, vitamin D, and collagen powder. And I meditate up to 30 minutes a day. I'm yet to check my telomeres, but I definitely have noticed I look a lot younger. Thank you for your fantastic product.
Oh yeah, and she's doing it right, because that vitamin D and vitamin K are so important, and that's one of the things we've talked about in so many of the others is in our modern society, a lot of the food is just not as good as it used to be. It's kind of like industrial agriculture. So and as for Americans, almost everybody's deficient in magnesium. And because we're indoors, that's why people get sick in the wintertime, because you're not getting the vitamin D. So if you get out in the sunlight, make vitamin D, and if you can't, supplement for sure. Those are really important things to do. And of course, a good supplementation too. I mean, a good multivitamin, multi-mineral is really a great idea.
Okay, we got a question from Instagram. Vincent from Belgium says, which C60 is good for a mountain biker and fat burning?
Probably you might want to try the, depending on how much you want to take, is the C60 and MCT coconut oil.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of athletes that do that. And they kind of like, because what it is, you take MCT coconut oil, your liver turns it into ketones almost immediately. And then the cells can use that as a energy source. So I know we know some professional athletes like what is it called? I guess skaters or whatever, that they do it. And you have to do competition after competition after competition. As you're doing it, like in the morning, you do like 3 or 4 competitions,
wow.
but then as the afternoon comes, you're just getting wearing out. And so they found like a little bit of coconut oil right before competition. It just gives you that boost of energy.
Are you talking about hockey players?
No, they're professional skaters and stuff.
Professional skaters.
That's just, it's brutal. Competition is brutal in that world.
Yeah, and MCT oil, I know the fat doesn't store as fat, right?
No, because it turns to ketones, right, and then the body burns it off.
So it seems like it would be the one to do.
Yeah.
Andrew from Instagram says, this might be a crazy question, but I suffer from sinus pressure a few times a year. Can C60 help with this? Well, if the sinus pressure is associated with allergies, I imagine that it would.
Yeah, we've had lots of reports of people that their allergies have just gone, well, for instance, you had that experience.
Myself,
yeah, the allergies that go way down.
Yeah, I used to not be able to go on walks in the springtime because it was just a mess. Yeah. Sneezing and sneezing. So what else do we have? Okay, another YouTube question from Preppers from Mars. Is there a contraindication for using C60 if a person is taking immunosuppressants for organ transplant?
C60 doesn't interact with any drugs, minerals, or supplements. So it doesn't do that. So we do have a disclaimer on people that are taking blood thinning medication, because once you take C60, it'll return mineralocorticoid production in your adrenals pretty rapidly. And so that's what regulates your blood thickness. And so your blood can return to the way it used to be real quickly. And if you're taking a blood thinner now, your blood's too thin. So you'd have to really get tested with that. And we've also, the same way with people are taking testosterone supplementation, because we had a guy, he was an old guy, he had like 300. And then he went to his doctor, and the doctor gave him some creams, and he was up to 700. It was just, kind of, it's okay, I guess, at that age. And then he started taking C60. Next time he went to his doctor, he had like 1,200. on his testosterone level. So the doctor took him off the creams because his testosterone had returned to a good level.
But to go back to the, how C60 might affect your immune response, I mean, we addressed, whether it is not good to take with that medication. But the other piece of that is, can it cause your immune system to be overreactive in any way? Because you're trying to suppress your immune system. But really, if you look at our show on immunity, how the C60 can help the immune response, right?
Yes. And so there could be a counterindication there. I don't know. You'd have to see.
It can quiet the cytokine storm. Yeah. It can help with that.
Yeah, but if you've got a serious health condition and you're taking some powerful medicines that your doctor has prescribed, keep taking them, and also tell your doctor that you're going to use C60 just so they'll know. And that's because one of the things there's a lot of testing. Like if you're doing the hormone replacement therapy, you might not. If you get extra testing, then they say, oh, like for instance, your experience with your thyroid medication.
Right. Oh yeah, I have to get tested at least 3 times a year now because my thyroid production actually went up when I was taking C60, and I've been able to reduce my thyroid medication by 2/3. And it also really helps with the autoimmune flare-ups. I don't get the extreme fatigue I used to get when I would have a flare-up. I just don't get that anymore. So I think it helps regulate the immune system, which we've talked about before.
Yeah, it just seems to make everything work better in the sense, and you don't get the that's one of the things they found in some scientific studies. C60 prevented like the cytokine storm that you get, that hyper immune response. It just didn't. The immune system was proportionate in the animals taking C60, whereas the ones that didn't had like a hyper had that cytokine storm and hyper reactions to things. So it's and that's probably one of the reasons why C60 has helped so many people with autoimmune problems.
Great questions today, guys. Really appreciate it. I think we've come to the last question. So thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed our show, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with your friends.
Yeah, and if you'd like to try some C60 for yourself, visit c60purplepower.com and remember to use the coupon code the C60 Show for 15% off.
And if you're watching us on YouTube today, be sure to click the bell icon to be notified every time we upload something new, and click subscribe.
Oh, and don't forget to like us too. We always do that. And so everyone, thank you for your questions. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you again on